Dive into the heart of Cleveland's business community with the Cleveland Burning Podcast. Join me, Kim Kitchen, owner of Burning River Marketing, and Kirk Tietz, owner of Cleveland Custom Coatings, as we explore the untold stories of local business owners. In this engaging series, we focus on the setbacks, accidents, and unexpected turns that pave the way for ultimate success. So just like the Cuyahoga River ignited change in the city, our podcast showcases how adversity can spark innovation and growth. Hear from passionate entrepreneurs who have braved the flames of failure and emerged stronger and more resilient. Get ready for candid conversations and a behind-the-scenes look at the business landscape in Cleveland. What's up, Kirk?
My son was asking me about getting married. He was thinking about it. I told him, I said, what you need to do is tell me you're sorry. He's like, why do I have to say sorry? I was like, just say it. Just say the words, I'm sorry. He said, I don't understand what I'm apologizing for. I said, just do it. Finally, he got frustrated. He said, I'm sorry. I said, okay, now you're ready to get married.
Whatever. That's not how marriage works. Okay, but welcome to the Cleveland Burning Podcast, where we uncover stories from local professionals who've braved the flames of adversity and turned them into success. I'm your host, Kim Kitchen.
And I'm Kirk Tietz. And today we're interviewing Dan Foster of Minuteman Press. I'll go ahead and introduce him.
Okay, but I have something to say about him. Okay.
So Dan and his wife, Jennet is the owner. Super wonderful people. They actually own the building that we work out of here, as well as Minuteman Press downstairs. It was crazy when I met them in BNI.
Yes.
And it turns out that I went to school with Jennet.
That was weird.
It's a real weird thing. Small town.
And the strange thing too, like small town in Texas, states and states away.
Yeah. 1,400 miles.
Within 12 minutes, this guy has
a
the
yearbook
in his hand.
We're both in it.
Jeanette's pictures.
I mean, it's like a glitch in the Matrix or something.
Yep.
So really strange. I mean, I've been here a long time now, and when I bring up the Colony, Texas, nobody's ever even heard of it, which is pretty normal. It was a very small town then.
Yep.
And it's fairly large now. I was there a couple years ago. When I was young and we were there, it was a brand new town, had no stores, barely had schools. So it was just great. And there's just been this connection with them since. Super wonderful people. And I'm honored to be in their building.
I'm partially responsible for that relationship.
You are.
You think?
You are.
So we were having a one-to-one after he joined BNI, and I was talking to him about his website, and I said, well, you're going to want a physical address for your website, because at the point he wasn't really working out of an office space yet. And Jennet had been coming in. You guys were moving from North Olmsted to Westlake.
Sure.
And she had been saying forever, like, a good referral for me is somebody that's looking to rent office space. So I said, I don't know if you've done a one-to-one yet with Jennet, but, Jennet has been talking about renting out office space.
Sure.
And you said there's some connection between you and Jennet.
Yep.
You just need to talk to her. Well, here's the crazy part, because then when I made for the one-to-one, which we were talking about logo, because you were going to get a logo for my website, and she sent me, we talked, and she sent me the address that I'm trying to rent out this office space. We're going to meet tomorrow at like 6:00. She sent me the address through text, but I never looked at it because it's tomorrow. I'm busy.
Right.
I'm doing things. I knew she sent the address. So the next day, a couple hours beforehand, I thought I better go ahead and look that up so I could figure it out. And it turns out the office that I rented from is literally the office I got laid off from during COVID.
So bizarre.
All kinds of weird connections.
Yeah.
So very,
really
very
is.
weird connections, and Dan and Jennet have been great. I mean, they're absolutely wonderful people.
Yeah, well, I have to say, before we start interviewing Dan, is that he just brought us these awesome mugs. I mean, they're awesome. For those of you that don't see it on the video, it says subscribe. It's got our name. It's got our logo. And Dan
Even got one for Billy.
He brought us.
Really needed a mug.
Yes. He brought us these little business cards that if you're thinking about doing a podcast, they're great. They've got your kind of podcast logo on the front, and then the back is a QR code, because one of the biggest things for podcast producers is people say, well, where can I find your podcast? And especially when you first get started, Googling it isn't enough. So a QR code is super handy. So thank you for all of that,
You're
Dan.
welcome.
You've
All
been
good.
phenomenal.
No, it's kind of fun. It's always, it's always fun when you can help some people, and like, I don't know, part of print is you make something kind of live in the real world.
Yeah.
You can put your brand in their hands. It's real. It makes you feel official. And yeah, so that's one of the, I always find it kind of cool when we have if it's a new person in business that we've done some stuff for and they see their stuff in print and it's kind of like, oh, I've arrived.
Right. It does feel cool.
They were already there. They already
Right.
had all the things that they needed, but it's just
seeing
it's
the
like
tangible
a credibility
image, yeah.
kind of backup, kind of nice.
Absolutely.
Nice deal. So
that must be rewarding.
it's kind of fun. It is. That is a fun thing, especially sometimes we get the opportunity to help create some brands. We do offer some graphic design kind of stuff too. So
Yeah, but tell us more about
yeah.
They helped with
Minuteman.
my logo.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, so we're Minuteman Press. We're a small print shop. It's a franchise, but we're all independently owned, and we print stuff. So, whether it's boring things like, hey, I've got to have that form and triplicate that everyone signs every time they drive the truck through the door, and it's got to be numbered and perforated. So it's very functional things like that. All the way through to the cool promotional item that has your brand on it, or that's a giveaway.
Now you also brought us chocolate bars. Do you guys
did.
make the chocolate bars, or
So we-
do you order these out?
Alas,
These
we are not
nice.
chocolatiers ourselves.
Okay,
but,
that would be sweet.
but no, that's a good example of a promotional item where it has our brand on it. We do these every year, and it's just like a customer appreciation kind of thing, and we just throw them out left, right, and center. You start with 300 of them, and you hope that you get rid of all of them, because otherwise January rolls around and there's 50 chocolate bars sitting on the desk for the next month.
And you have a New Year's
and you've made all your
resolution
New Year's
of, like,
resolutions. That's right. But the
Familiar with that.
chocolate bar itself actually has our logo stamped into it. So we have a die made and into the chocolate itself, which I've always thought is pretty cool. So
That is
cool.
that is pretty
But,
cool.
it's
there
it's
it
kind
is.
of it's a wacky little promotional item. We're part of a large distribution network for the people that really specialize in making that stuff. So they want to run their machines all day, every day,
Okay.
and we essentially act as the customer service arm for them. So that's one of the things we do as part of the Minuteman Press, and that's really kind of secondary to the printing we do. But
Okay.
it helps us again, put your brand in their hands and.
And you do signage too, right? Like yard signs, like all the tradespeople that put the yard signs for the roofing or the windows.
yeah,
you
we-
do all that.
Yep, we do some signage. We have some signage options. Again, we have a signage division. It's quick turnaround, kind of high quality. Well, it is high quality.
That's just kind of high quality.
yeah, it's just a little speech pattern there undermined me. But we do some signage products. Actually, the yard signs at our previous location before we moved into this building, it's just a standard Coroplast yard sign. I put it out there for 18 months on the tree lawn. It went through 2 brutal winters and it still looked good.
Still there.
Yeah, so it's like,
Those things are great, and they're not that expensive. I
No,
mean, a
no.
yard sign is really, I think, a great investment in your business if you're doing any kind of trade. You better be getting yard signs when
Well,
you start
yeah,
doing
the-
residential painting.
Absolutely.
The cool
Dan
thing
actually
about-
made me a couple,
Okay.
but we'll
That's right.
need more as we go on.
The cool thing about some of those technologies now too is, things change and that stuff's all digital. So you want to get 10 or 20 signs, so a smaller order, but maybe you want 3 different messages. So you've
Right.
got them for different purposes or events, or it's valet parking for an event. You want arrows going different ways. So
Okay.
the file is different. That can all be done on the same run.
That's so cool.
Without
I've
having
seen
to
them
set
for
up.
like graduation parties and birthday parties and,
Yeah.
and like more personal type use.
Sure. Most of what we do is being that we're mostly business to business with
Sure.
printing, and we do have some minimums on some of those things.
So it's probably
But-
not the graduation party unless they're getting
mean,
like 100.
You can order a production sheet that gets you 10.
Okay.
So,
All right.
work out when all the kids in the family are graduating and just put the different years on them. But yeah, we do there are some minimums on some products. And again, mostly we're business to business, and that's been,
That's perfect. Yeah.
that's been our model so far, and helping other people in business, succeed and have the tools that they need for either their marketing or just their in-house fulfillment or whatever it is they need. That's a printed item.
Nice.
We still do, we still run an offset press, which is kind of a more traditional.
What is offset press?
Yeah, so offset press is kind of ye old, printing thing. We've got the big drum and a cylinder, and a plate gets made of the thing you want to have printed, and
Oh.
the ink gets poured in the inkwell. So hey, I want 5,000 envelopes in red.
Yeah.
So
That's how Benjamin Franklin did it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
pretty much,
yeah.
right?
Right. And then run your 5,000 envelopes, but it's still a very cost effective way to do longer runs, more longer print runs when you want a spot color or something like that. But
Okay.
so we mix the old in with the new. We've got all the fancy new digital tech as well. So
All right.
yeah,
Cool. Well, you know the theme. I know you listen to the podcast,
I have.
so hopefully you came today prepared with some way that failure has contributed to your success, or some, time that you thought you were in the middle of a train wreck or
Sure.
something. So what you got for us?
Well, I mean, and I'm sure you guys. I mean, there's lots of things to choose from if
Yeah.
you've been in business a while, and we've been at this since 2004, so we'll be
Almost 20 years?
yeah, I know it's kind of
Did we have a party?
there'll definitely be a party.
Okay,
We'll have
good.
to throw
I'm
some
coming.
we'll throw some shrimp on the barbie and
Shrimp
put it in
on
the
the
parking lot. Yeah,
Barbie.
some good stuff. Invite some people, but as part of that journey, we at one point, we made an aggressive move and we bought out another printer. So they were
Okay.
an independent shop, and we kind of we had two locations going for a while, and everything was good there. And we ended up merging to, I'll call it the new printing place, but it was the much, much, much older building. So it was
Okay.
it was a great location right on the border of two cities, like Rocky River and Fairview Park, and great traffic. There was, right in the middle of everything. But the building itself was it was always on a month-to-month lease. So
Okay.
we're kind of like, hey, can we get a lease for a couple of years because we want to make it a little pretty, have a nice lobby, spend some money kind of doing it up.
Yeah.
And it was always, no, month to month. And we ended up being there for about 8 years. And it wasn't a huge, terrible thing. I guess it's one of those things where I understand now that we should have just gotten out of there a lot sooner.
Okay.
Because as our business evolved and we weren't just doing those boring forms I talked about before or whatever else, we're having much more consultative discussions with our customers and clients where, we're talking about representing your business.
Right.
It's important, Kim, that
Yeah.
your business looks good, that
Professional,
your
right.
signage and your logo looks good on your, and here we are, in this lobby where there's single pane windows with cracks and tape on it. There's it's just so we weren't drinking our own Kool-Aid.
Sure.
I guess was the thing. And at the time, it didn't necessarily occur to us all that much because we were still having those conversations.
Right.
But I don't know that we were we weren't living it.
Yeah.
We weren't exemplifying it, and I felt like it maybe undermined our credibility a bit there for a moment. But that was, again, that was just a learning thing. And when we moved, one of the things that was important was to have more of a presentation lobby where we could have those discussions and, emphasize that, hey, we do have repetition of the brand here and those kind of things, and actually, yeah, be able to personify it.
And one of the first things you guys probably said to one another is like, why didn't we do this sooner?
Yeah, we did. But again, sometimes you don't know that the thing is not doing the work for you until, you make the change.
Right.
And sometimes the change is not because, in that instance, actually, the change was because there was going to be a wrecking ball coming through the building.
Oh.
So, hey, time to get out. So which we
that's
should have already
kinda
done.
cool.
But it's like it was a really good thing ultimately
Right.
that forced us to move and then we were able to think about those things fresh. But
Well, I know Jennet, and she doesn't really like change that much. I mean,
no, when it's
like if we change around the table configuration at BNI, I love watching your eye roll, and she's like, why do we need to change?
Yeah, we try and push the phone upgrades now out to 3 or 4 years because if it's phone upgrade year and the new model arrives, that's not a pleasant week in the Foster household.
But that makes sense. Like you guys were forced to, and I bet I could almost hear Jennet being like, "Why do we have to move?
Right,
This is going to be
right.
such a pain." But like, look,
Yep.
you guys got into
Sure.
a bigger, better location.
Absolutely. So, yeah,
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, what other type of failures or mistakes have you guys endured over the 20 years that we'll be celebrating soon?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd talk. I mean, I think it was for everybody. Obviously, the pandemic was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
For us. And funnily enough, Jennet had joined BNI. I believe it was the day the day the world
world
closed
ended, that's
down.
what
The
she
day the world
says.
ended. That's
Yeah.
how she quotes it. So
Yep.
we met the BNI people, but we didn't meet them for a year
Yeah.
because she joined, the day the world
And then we had to go on
shut
Zoom.
down.
Yeah.
But for us, that Monday, I think, 75% of our active jobs, which were a lot of them were maybe event programs, event specific for things that were about to happen in the summer, projects coming up, mailings, all that kind of thing.
They just stopped.
It was call after call. We're going to have to cancel that. No, we're not going to be doing that. One after the other. It was scary, and but ultimately, I mean, we're a small team as well, so. One of the good things about that is, we had to pivot,
Sure.
And kind of look through. Now we've got our core business, and then we have great relationships with our vendors. Is there something in there that's more appropriate for us to push now? And
Right.
actually, so again, Jennet actually did a great job at pushing out materials to municipalities, hospitals, pretty much anywhere that had a whole bunch of hallways. And everything
You
else
need
for
arrows
signage.
and, the
Exactly. It
signage
was
of
the
like,
distancing
this
signage.
is where you stand, this is how you get there,
Yeah.
this is one way,
Right. So, and for us, these, sign facilities are kind of in network for us. So we would get priority over, just because we had those pre-established relationships. So,
Yep.
and it's not that we were doing those for everyone, but there was a couple of key jobs we got, that helped carry us through that time. And, and frankly, to re-emerged with growth. So
Oh, great.
it was a really good sort of foundation to move to the next level. And then
like those
then we kind of rolled the dice, took a risk, and here we're sitting in a building. We
you
managed
own.
to, yeah,
You
we
own
kind
it.
of, yeah, somehow wrangled ourselves
Not month
into.
to month.
No, that's kind of, that was. We paid a
Big
commercial
risk.
rent for a long time, so.
Yep.
So when the pandemic came, the day they shut down Ohio, I was actually working for another painting company. That day, I was sent to Mississippi to go paint a Chipotle. So while everybody was at home scared of what to do or whatever else, I was living in hotels.
Oh.
No, I drove there.
Okay.
I was living in hotels and eating at fast food places and stuff. And you couldn't go in places. Nobody would let you in.
Right.
And so you would see all the people messaging, this is scary. I don't know what to do. You're scared. I'm sleeping in a hotel. So it was definitely a scary experience. But I think that COVID and the pandemic really changed a lot of the people and how they do business and where they do it.
It's a real reminder. It was a real reminder that you need to, you can't stay still. Even in regular times, you still need to. Things are just changing more slowly. They're not changing as rapidly as they did, right then. So keep up with the tech. Don't become obsolete. Move in a different direction if you need to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine the print business, because we were all panicked, right? You couldn't touch something, a piece of paper or something. You don't know where that had been and who had coughed on it and,
Sure.
what type of COVID cells and, whatever. It's like cooties. That's how it was sort of promoted to us, that anything that you physically touch, it could have the cooties on it. So I imagine it obviously would have, and we were doing these QR codes. So these QR codes became like a real big thing for
Sure.
the pandemic. And now you've found a way through innovation really to use these more, because you need the QR codes to be printed on something.
Right.
So, QR codes is now a big part of our life. I love them. You can give somebody a QR code, and it's almost like out of curiosity. You just want to grab your camera and be
Where does
"What's
this
in
go?
where does this go?
What rabbit hole is this going to take me down?
Yes. Somebody hands me a QR code, I'm on it.
I'm shooting that. Yeah, for sure.
True.
It is true.
So as I was driving down the highway and I saw this sign to Steven Singer, I thought to myself, that was genius marketing, right?
Yeah.
And I started asking people, I come back and I started asking, if I put up a sign that said, I hate Chris or something, would you look it up? If you saw that on a billboard and you saw IHateChris.com,
Yeah, that's like some total,
would you look that up and see what it is? And most people can't answer the question. And I said, well, I can answer it. I would.
Yeah.
Because I did.
total guerrilla marketing.
Yep.
Yep.
What is guerrilla marketing? How do you define that? It's just like a
I don't know. Maybe you use something that's
like
conventional, but in a
hardcore.
different way, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Just think outside. I mean, it's a stereotype within itself, I guess. Think outside the box, but just do it a different way, or
It's almost like now with TikTok and all these other things, it's hard to define something that's outside of the box because the box just keeps evolving,
the
right?
sides of the box fell off a while back.
There's no box
it's all been
anymore.
flattened. They're all out there.
Everything's out
Marketing
there.
could
We're all
be
out there doing
anything.
stuff, yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
So Dan, tell us what's going on with Minuteman Press. Is there anything fun and exciting you want to promote or something you'd like to get in front of small business owners with?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, something that continues to be a winner for our customers is direct mail. I mean, it just sounds so stodgy and
Direct
old
mail.
and
You
boring.
said it. You have an awesome accent, but it sounds like raking mail. Direct mail.
Direct mail.
Okay,
Direct
got it.
mail.
Direct mail.
Yeah. So, you take that piece that has your message and your promotion on it, and you get it in someone's mailbox. So, through the postal service, it's all. We all think that seems pretty straightforward, Dan, right?
It's so underrated. It's very effective.
Sure. So, and there's different ways to do it. You can have saturation mail where you just, hey, this city, this zip code, these mailing routes, I just want everyone to get it. And that's these days, frankly, the post office have made it so easy. We can teach you how to do that yourself.
Okay.
And save the money on mailing services, which traditionally has always been a big part of the cost as well with direct mail. So that's something that's really cool. If the other thing would be targeted mail, so we can source data to be really specific. I mean, you know who your best customers are, right? And you want to put that brand in their hands. We can filter data so that we can get a set there where you can send the message, put a unique offer on it so that you can quantify the return that you get from it as well.
Yep.
It's a really nice thing with the marketing. Sometimes when you have different marketing programs out there, it's like, how do I know that I got something back on that? With direct mail.
ROI. I love it.
Absolutely. Yes. So you can put a code on your mail piece or you can put an offer that you don't put anywhere else. And because of the questions or the calls that you're getting, where it came from.
Yeah.
So whether it's something you do again. But the other thing I would say is I wouldn't, direct mail is only one part of all of the things you should be doing. It's not a silver bullet. I mean, if we all knew where that was, we'd all be shooting them.
Sure. Yeah.
But it should be part of, it can be a really useful part to drive things to your online. If you've got a really good online presence, it might help drive people there.
Yep.
So those things can
agree.
Have a symbionce. And one of the things with direct mail too is when we do that, we work in hand with United States Postal Service and we get you discounted postage. So we pre-process it so that when we drop it off to the post office for you, instead of those pieces costing 66 cents, they could be as low as even under 30 cents at times.
Oh, cool.
So, you times that by a couple of thousand pieces.
And it's a big savings.
Yeah, that saving pays for your print piece
Yep.
and the mailing services in a lot of instances. So that's somewhere where we can really save some folks some money and help to push out a really specific message.
Yeah, I can. I've given Jennet a referral a couple of times for direct mail because doing SEO, I have had customers ask me stuff. So one of them is somebody that does Cleveland lead testing, and I said, well, you should. They all want me to add content to the website.
Right.
And it's like, look, I can add content to the website, but if somebody's not Googling it, then it's not gonna generate business. So
and that's a great example. That's the kind of thing where we would probably sit down and have just a brief consultative kind of discussion.
Yep.
But the first things that pop in my mind with that is, okay, lead testing, it's paint, it's homes of a certain age.
Yep.
That's information we can source.
And it's the landlords you want to send it to the landlords, not necessarily the home.
Sure.
And he got a good. I sent him over to Jennet, and she did the thing, and she probably told you to do the thing, and then anyway. So he told me. I asked him. I followed up with him, and I said, "Hey, how did that go?" And he said it went awesome. I'm doing it again. And so
cool.
He kept doing that. And then the other example was I work with an enrolled agent, and he said once again, he says, there's something going on with taxes. People that lived in a township like Olmsted Township or even Columbia Station, if you don't normally have to pay RETA, but like let's say you usually work in Cleveland, well during the pandemic you were working from home, well you don't have to pay the Cleveland RETA or the whatever RETA of where something, like you don't have to pay an extra tax. And he said put that on the website, and I said, well Ken, nobody knows about it, so why would they be Googling it?
Sure.
And I said, what you need to do is like talk to Jennet about direct mail, because if you just sent it targeted to, certain homes,
right,
then that would work. And he said he got a great ROI on it. He was happy with it. He had a couple of people call in.
That's what it's about. Yeah. And it's not necessarily, again, it's not the silver bullet. It's not for everyone, and it depends on the business. For example, if you're a restaurant where your average transaction size is $25-$30 and you're putting a $5 coupon out there, well, how many times does someone have to come in for you to deem that to be a success? It might be a couple of hundred,
Right.
But maybe you're a wealth planner or what, it just takes one new client across 2 mailings, and it was the way to go. So,
absolutely,
you make judgment calls based on, who's doing what, and I
like it.
But
Kirk should do some direct mail. Have you thought about that?
We actually just got done going through it. We've gone back and forth. And of course, I tend to look at things and then overthink them. So I've changed a couple times, but we just put the approval through, and they're going to be going out, I think,
probably in the next week.
Make sure there's a QR code on them, because people, I'm telling you, they're gonna be like, oh, a QR code. Let me see where that goes. I don't know
if we did that.
Or put like I hate clevelandcustomcoatings.com on there.
Oh man. No, we're gonna go guerrilla marketing. We're gonna superimpose Cleveland Burning podcast over his business by accident.
There you go.
That's perfect.
No.
Yeah, that'll work.
Get the word out.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Well, so speaking of that, thank you so much, Dan, for sharing your stories. We loved having you here.
Good to be here. Thank you. It was fun.
Right?
This feels very different for me, but it was it was fun.
You did great.
We make it comfortable for you.
All your content.
Did we make it comfortable for you?
You guys made all the difference.
Good. Good. Well, for me, I just really love my cup. So thank you again
you're welcome.
for my mug. And if you enjoyed today's episode, and we hope you did, then please subscribe.
Hold on. Stop right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Just stop right there.
All right.
I wanted to tell everybody that, not only would they come into great money for subscribing, but if they don't subscribe, horrible things are going to happen.
Oh, no.
Okay, no, just subscribe so we can help reach other people.
Yes. And leave us a review if you can figure out how to do that, because we're pretty sure the more reviews we have, the more listeners we'll reach. So that will help everybody that's been on our podcast so far to reach a bigger audience.
Absolutely.
So, until next time, remember that every train wreck can be a stepping stone to something extraordinary. And thanks for joining us on the Cleveland Burning Podcast.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Dan.
Cheers, guys.